Be me, Derek, 31, shift supervisor at City Emergency Dispatch Center, tucked above a strip mall and pawn shop. Room is constant hum of headsets, blinking screens, cheap coffee, and people trying not to lose their minds at 3 a.m. Our job is simple in theory, brutal in practice. Answer calls, get address, send cops, fire, or medics before life stops. Old HR guy named Martin just made sure paychecks landed and nobody screamed slurs in the break room. Culture was dark jokes between calls, small shrine of energy drinks, and unspoken rule. Get location first, feelings later. One Tuesday morning, inbox flashes mandatory meeting. All hands welcoming our new director of safety culture and well-being. Title already sounds like scented candle with a minor in gender studies. We cram into training room that smells like instant noodles, and Lysol, someone brought stale donuts as emotional support. Center director walks in with woman early 30s, tight bun, bright scarf, clipboard hugged like holy text. She introduces herself as Lena Hart, new director of safety culture and well-being, background in trauma-informed feminist practice. Lanyard covered in pins. Believe her? Stop gaslighting? Feelings are data, all shining under fluorescent lights that hate everyone equally. Lena starts slideshow with headlines about police mishandling women's reports, hashtags, and articles about institutional betrayal and male-coded urgency. She says our scripts are interrogation-flavored, claims women hang up because they feel blamed instead of held. Points at sample call transcript where dispatcher asked, "Why did you let him in?" calls it classic victim-blaming language. We all silently agree that line was bad, but also know most calls are, "Where are you right now? Spell the street." She explains New Vision. We will center women's emotional safety as first priority, then figure out logistics of response. Slide pops up. Project Softline, rewriting crisis communication through feminist safety. Someone in back quietly sighs into styrofoam cup. Meeting ends with promise of new policies next week, plus required workshops called Listening Without Violence. Calendar already looks like punishment. First email drops Wednesday. Language update, ending harmful questioning patterns. Top line says no more why questions to female callers, because why communicates suspicion and blame to trauma survivors. Example list shows forbidden phrases. Why are you there? Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you call sooner? We are instructed to replace them with, tell me what's happening now. Share what feels most important. I'm here with you. Someone asks if we can at least ask why about direction of fire or fleeing car. Lena says, we'll find gentler phrasing. Second rule in email, avoid imperative tone like stay on the line, calm down, stop shouting, considered controlling male commands. New script uses phrases like, if it feels okay, stay with me, and your feelings make sense right now. Old motto drilled into us was location, problem, safety, units, now replaced by validate, reflect, gently explore, eventually dispatch. During first shift with new script, call volume laughs at our intentions. Woman dials sobbing about ex banging on door. I go straight into new lines. Say, I'm hearing how scared you are. That makes total sense. She wails louder, pounding sounds through phone like fists and wood. My reflex wants to snap address now, but brain flashes Lena's slide about tone that shuts women down. I try, tell me where you are so I can send help to keep you safe. She sobs street name, but not number. While I coax details, X starts breaking glass. Her phone skitters. Call cuts out. We triangulate enough to send units anyway. They arrive in time, mostly fine, but my heart feels like it ran a marathon on broken glass. End of shift, Lena reviews random recordings for language hygiene, praises my validation, says beautiful mirroring of her fear. No mention of seconds spent dancing around the one question that would have pinned a dress faster. Week later, second wave hits, new routing for sensitive calls. Policy states all calls from women about gendered violence must be routed to female dispatchers whenever possible. Category includes domestic violence, stalking, harassment, anything with male perpetrator plus woman caller equals potential re-traumatization. We now have safety desk with 3 women scheduled each shift, supposed to handle all that plus regular calls. If a man picks up and hears those topics, he must quickly validate, then transfer to our women-led safety pod. Lena calls this ending male gatekeeping on women's stories, keeps repeating phrase. They deserve women who get it, not interrogators. I ask during training what happens when all safety pod lines busy and queue full. She says, we're staffing up with confidence of politician. Reality, budget approves 1 extra hire. She lasts 2 weeks before quitting because nightmares don't respect feminist frameworks. Third policy arrives. Opening with safety, not surveillance. Instead of 911, what's your emergency? We now greet with, you're safe on this line. My name is Derek. What's happening? We are told to spend first 30 seconds establishing trust and emotional safety before moving into details. Unless there is obvious gunfire. Someone asks if screaming counts as obvious. Lena says, trust your nervous system, not your conditioning. Call metrics start creeping in wrong direction almost immediately. Average time to dispatch climbs like a cat up cheap curtains. Frontline supervisors quietly grumble, send 2 separate memos to director about delays. He forwards to Lena. She responds with PDF about long-term benefits. Month passes, tension between old training and new script stretches like a frayed headset cord. Most of us end up running 2 brains, one doing Lena's validation lines out loud, other silently screaming, address, address, address. Then city announces new partnership with regional women's shelter, big press release, politicians smiling, Lena beaming in every photo. They credit Project Softline with dramatic shift in how women feel heard, based on survey of 20 callers who lasted through entire script. Meanwhile, hidden report shows we're getting more callbacks from officers on scene saying, we needed that info sooner. But those don't get press releases. One Thursday afternoon, heavy storm rolls in. Phones light up with accidents, flooded basements, and one guy who thinks thunder is government weapons testing. I'm shift lead, schedule already stretched. 2 of our female dispatchers out sick. Safety pod down to 1 woman named Kayla. She is good, sharp, but human, multiple calls stacked in her queue, blinking like angry Christmas lights. Halfway through chaos, line blinks with new call. I click in, hear panic breathing and muffled shouts. Voice is young woman, maybe early 20s, words tumbling over each other. He's here, he found me. He said he'd kill me if I called. Training wants greeting. Script wants validation. Body wants address. Lina wants me to be soft. Everything collides behind my teeth. I say, you did the right thing calling. I'm here with you. Tell me what's happening. She says she's hiding in bathroom, X kicking apartment door, screaming he'll burn the place down with you inside. Thunder cracks outside like sound design. Lena's rule says transfer to safety pod. Kayla's extension blinking busy indicator like cursed Christmas star. Policy sheet drilled into us says validate, then transfer quickly so women don't have to re-explain to a man. I look at timer ticking on screen. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20, her sobbing filling headset like static. Against every instinct, I hit transfer. Script says, I'm going to connect you with a woman who specializes in this. Hold on. She whimpers, please don't leave. But system already queuing, little spinning icon of doom. Call waits, music plays. Lena chose some gentle piano track meant to be soothing. Might as well be funeral prelude. Kayla's voice finally clicks on. She uses perfect soft tone. Hey love, I'm here. Tell me what's going on. Our software lets me shadow listen as supervisor. I hear girl repeat story, slightly more disjointed now, door pounding louder. 30 seconds into retelling, banging stops, silence, then muffled crash, maybe door finally giving up. Kayla starts to say, I want to send people to keep you safe. Can you share your address? Line drops suddenly. We both scream her name into void like it owes us something. Nothing returns but dead air and our own breathing. Kayla looks through glass at me with eyes that say, I should have asked sooner. My gut agrees violently. We slam process into override, pull last known cell ping, approximate block, dispatch cars, and fire because of his threat to burn. Units arrive to find smoke in hallway and door off hinges. X fled when neighbor yelled. Girl hustled out coughing but conscious. Medics treat her. Neighbors complaining about smoke alarms. Officers call back. Ask why address took almost 2 minutes to nail down. Answer feels like a ghost. We were following protocol, but no one wants to say that out loud over sirens. End of shift. Lena holds quick debrief. Calls incident, complex but ultimately successful safety story. Thanks Kayla for holding space amid chaos. No mention of spinny transfer icon, no mention of piano hold music while daughter hinges surrendered. I go home, shower twice, still smell smoke behind ears, dream that hold music keeps playing over muffled screams. 2 weeks later, city announces big new measure, FEMsafe line, special hotline number for women only, staffed entirely by women. Calls rerouted from our main line if woman presses 3, or if we decide she would benefit from gentler support. FEMsafe uses separate room, pastel walls, lamps instead of overhead lights. Lena calls it sanctuary from high pressure, masculine tech vibe. Staffed by 4 women, only 2 with a dispatch background, others from social work, good hearts, not trained for car upside down in ditch. Route map says if FEMsafe staff determine it's immediate life threat, they conference in main dispatch, but remain emotional lead. Practically means second layer between caller and units, another place for seconds to die on carpet. First month, we all try to cooperate, but reality turns into 3-legged race in a house fire. Woman reports drunk X circling her block. FEMsafe spends 6 minutes exploring how his behavior makes you feel before looping us in. By time we send patrol, he's gone. She texts later that he smashed her windshield and slashed tires 2 streets over. Lena circulates survey screenshot where woman clicked felt heard and felt validated. Ignores note, wish they'd sent someone sooner. brags in all hands about emotional outcomes trending upward, charts in cheerful colors, bar for speed suspiciously absent. Internal metrics team quietly logs spike in delayed arrival comments from officers, but report gets buried under wellness newsletters. Storm season deepens, phones busier, FEMsafe lines jammed, main dispatch playing game of guess which calls are safe to redirect. Then comes Friday night that turns story from annoying into scandal. Shift starts like usual, pre-midnight jitters, steady stream of fender benders, bar fights, and one guy who swallowed his own earring. Around 11, call routes straight to FEMsafe. Indicator on our board shows linked, so we can listen if needed. Caller is woman, maybe late 20s, voice high with panic, says neighbor's ex is outside building, shouting, he will finish this tonight. FEMsafe dispatcher, eyes closed like meditation, says, thank you for trusting me enough to call. That's very brave. Woman says he has been violent before. There's restraining order. He drank all day, now pounding on entry door. Policy manual says restraining order plus threat equals immediate police dispatch, but only main line can radio them. FEMsafe must bridge us in. Dispatcher starts walking through wellness checklist instead. How long have you been holding this fear? Where do you feel it in your body? My hand hovers over override button, but Lena's training echoes, don't aggressively hijack women's calls. That recreates violation. Caller mentions she's babysitting neighbor's kid, little boy asleep on couch. Ex doesn't know child is there. FEMsafe woman says, you're carrying so much emotional labor right now. Then finally remembers to ask address. Halfway through street name line crackles. Background noise spikes, male voice screaming indistinct threats, something metallic hitting glass, toddler wailing awake. I smash override anyway, route call into our board, shout to nearest radio op to get cars moving before words finish leaving mouth. Cops roll, but storm already knocked some lights, streets slick, response slower than training video promises. On live line, we hear door splinter, shouting, then 3 quick thuds like furniture slammed into wall, child crying louder. Connection drops when phone hits floor or wall, uncertain which, only static buzzing loud in my headset. Officers later report they arrived to see ex fleeing, leaving chaos behind. Woman bleeding from head, kid dragged into corner, but alive. Paramedics treat them. Hospital patches her up. Doctors mention, it could have been much worse. Phrase that will haunt every debrief. Most brutal piece shows up Monday when City Oversight Office emails demanding full call transcript and timeline for high-profile incident. Turns out, neighbor is paralegal for council member who has already heard story of women's line that talked about feelings while door broke. Director calls emergency meeting with Lena, me, 2 senior dispatchers, and city risk manager who looks allergic to buzzwords. They play recording in conference room, no donuts this time, just ticking clock and Lena's carefully neutral expression. Risk manager pauses after lines about emotional labor, asks simple question. Why were police not notified earlier in this call? Lena answers first, says FEMsafe space designed to de-escalate internal panic before introducing external authorities. Words polished and rehearsed. Manager doesn't care about theory, just points to timeline where 7 minutes pass before address clearly stated and call bridged to us. He asks why initial dispatcher didn't follow restraining order protocol, Why script prioritized body sensations over unit dispatch. Lena insists training is new, staff still integrating practice, tries to suggest that we undermined them by seizing call aggressively. He replays moment where toddler cries and furniture crashes, notes we still hadn't yet radioed police until I broke in. Director glances at me, eyes asking, "Is she really blaming you for not waiting longer?" My jaw clenches hard enough to crack fillings. I explain we were told not to override unless absolutely necessary or risk reproducing male control. Phrase feels like poison now. Risk manager asks for documentation. Lena produces thick binder of policies titled Project Softline, heavy with phrases but light on safety sign-offs. He flips through, frowns at pages where address first replaced by feelings first. Margin notes about slowing masculine rush toward action. Legal rep on speakerphone asks whether any of these changes were reviewed by City Legal or State Emergency Standards Board. Lena admits she moved quickly because harm was ongoing and bureaucracy is slow. Translation: she bypassed every boring safeguard that exists for a reason. Risk manager asks me if we ever raised concerns. I show copies of emails from supervisors about delays, flagged metrics, complaints from officers. Each email thread ends with Lena replying article links and gentle reminders to trust the process of cultural shift. Meeting ends with risk manager saying there will be external audit, plus immediate review of all non-standard dispatch procedures. Lena looks shaken for first time, but still posts in staff chat later that day about staying grounded through backlash, attaches breathing exercise PDF. Audit arrives like winter, slow and relentless, inspectors listening to random calls, timing everything, scribbling notes whenever someone says, "I feel." One day I step into side room and see whiteboard covered in columns. Call start, address secured, units dispatched. Our numbers not pretty. FEMsafe calls especially bad, average time to dispatch almost double, despite mostly handling highest risk situations. External report finally lands on director's desk, thick enough to stop a bullet. Summary slide hits our inboxes by accident, and rumor fills blanks. Core line says, current feminist-informed policies introduce significant and unacceptable delays in emergency response, particularly for female callers. Also notes discriminatory routing practice, where men get standard rapid protocol while women get slower emotional safety track. Irony so heavy it dents floor. 2 days later, emergency all-hands scheduled. Same room where Lena first unveiled pastel slides and revolution talk. This time, no donuts, just water jugs and a projector displaying plain title. Operational safety changes, effective immediately. Director steps up looking 10 years older, thanks everyone for work, then reads from prepared statement, clearly vetted by lawyers. Announces FEMsafe line will be retired, all calls returning to main dispatch with unified protocol focused on fast, equal response. Scripts reverting to address first, then nature of emergency, then safety instructions with empathy used in support, not instead of action. Transfer rules scrapped. Any trained dispatcher may handle any call, regardless of gender, because danger doesn't care who picks up. Last point, Lena is no longer with the organization. HR department returning to basics under interim manager from County Emergency Board. Room doesn't cheer, we're too tired for that, but air feels thicker with something like relief and leftover anger. After meeting, I see Lena packing plants into cardboard box, pins removed from lanyard, eyes glossy but jaw still set. She doesn't look at us, just walks past wall where her feelings are data poster already ripped down, leaving tape shadows. Few months roll by, calls still hard, screams still real, but scripts shorter, decisions faster, address always first word out of our mouths. New HR lady is older, used to run dispatch 3 cities over. First training slide just says, "You cannot help anyone if you never get there." She makes empathy trainings optional group sessions after shifts. No call ever delayed for guided breathing or body scans. One night on break, Kayla and I sit on curb behind building, watching rain hit dumpster, sharing cheap coffee and silence. She says she still hears that hold music sometimes, wonders what would have happened if she'd broken script earlier like gut demanded. I tell her we both know better now, that every second counts more than every sentence, that being nice isn't the same as being safe. On days off, I scroll internet and eventually stumble on think piece shared in activist circles, headline about visionary feminist safety leader pushed out by scared men. Author photo is Lena, smiling gentle smile. Article describing us as hostile boys club threatened by women-centered care. No mention of audit charts, of timelines where women waited longer for help because we were busy validating instead of dispatching. I close tab, open blank post window on anonymous board, fingers hovering over keys, storm sirens faint through my open window. There's no clever twist to type, just simple stubborn lesson. When someone calls you in a panic and says he's coming, you send help first. Everything else either fits inside that or belongs in a therapy office, not between a scream and a siren.